everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Doug Kivling. Actually with a company called Hyperponics that we started locally. I have a solar company that we've developed locally and have teamed up with Carol's Nursery in St. Petersburg that's been in the nursery business for 40 years. Hyperponics wants to start bringing new technology and solar to urban farming. For more than 20 years, people have tried to start urban farms, but they're really not sustainable. There's a number of reasons why, but growing produce in land on small pieces just doesn't work. A lot of them are used for education, for training, which is fantastic, and it definitely has to be part of our system, but they're just not sustainable because they don't put out enough food. Why they have failed? Of course, the acreage. There's power supply. They're using a ton of water, and water right now with swift mud on everybody's back is a major concern. The toxic soil. The EPA is starting to crack down on all chemicals being used in farms and really going after to try to be as organic as possible. Everybody's heard about the toxic runoff into the lakes and the rivers and what that's causing. To be sustainable, you got to put out enough produce to generate. It's got to be a business, but it also has to be a business that can give back. Labor costs. Weed pulling, planting, just overall maintenance of a regular farm. And we already talked about being able to sell the crops. So what we've done was design an urban garden that we can build on as small as 1/8 of an acre of land. There are a lot of land, a lot of parcels around the cities, and they're called food deserts. And so we've designed this system, if we put out enough food, bring it into the urban city and feed the people, but also make money, it would be a win-win. So it's got to be self-sustainable, low cost for installation, off the grid, high yield, organic as possible. We're still working with the chemical and the organic industry to make sure, because a lot of the organic fertilizers are not water soluble and you got to play with that, but we're working on it. We want it to be scalable. We think our farms, we can put at least 10 in the Tampa Bay region, and then from there we can spread it all over the country. We want to be able to create some good jobs, and one of the most important things is to start bringing nutrition to the local neighborhoods and for the kids, and of course have an ROI that's under 24 months. So first, we decided that we can go vertically, and we started this combination between aeroponics and hydroponics. Disney created aeroponics, and if anybody's gone through that system at Disney, you see the roots that are growing in just air. Well, we took their technology and brought it down to something that's usable and that we can actually take advantage of. Then we said, wow, this thing works. It's growing. So we designed a farm with 125 of our 8-inch towers. Each tower holds 52 plants. And predicting some losses, we can put out at least 6,000 heads of leafy greens a month on 1/4 of an acre of land. And all of the towers are connected and all the water is recyclable. So we have no loss, we have no water getting into the aquifer or anything else. And it's all solar powered. So we've looked at our target markets, tried to look at the berries and the lettuce and the herbs, look at the inner cities for the food deserts, which we'll explain in a minute. And then who's going to buy this? Is there a market for that many greens in an area? And we have found out that even though 6,000 sounds a lot, restaurant and a hotel can burn through that in nothing. Actually, we can't make enough. Food desert is a major problem all over the country. USDA says that there's 23.5 million people that live in a food desert. South St. Pete is a food desert, and there's a number of them all through Pinellas County, believe it or not. And that's just not having a grocery store, not having green produce, vegetables, healthy things to eat, which then cause a problem in obesity and every other problem, health concerns. With our advisory committee, we've developed that 3 heads of dark leafy greens a week can give families the nutrition they need. And everybody says, well, can you grow other things? Why leafy greens? Well, it's much easier for us on 125 tubes to grow the same product. Fertilizer, pesticides, controlling everything. So when we're looking at products, green, dark green, leafy greens are a nutrition powerhouse. And the government has agreed that there are just so many benefits to dark leafy greens. And our mission is to keep things simple. It's a business plan. If we can grow the correct product, sell it, and it does what it needs to do. I can't solve all of the problems of nutrition, but this is a major step in the country. And the government starts talking about health and what a half a cup of leafy greens do each day to prevent nutrition deficiencies. We have the advantage over hydroponic and traditional ground. As you see, this is in the strawberry industry that we're going to be going after. We can grow 50,000 plants in an acre of land, compared to about 5,500 when they do it in the ground. And it keeps swift mud off their back, which is a major problem. We've developed the first farm to go into South St. Pete, and that will be the model for a national rollout. We'll be hiring one manager. That's basically all it's going to take, some volunteers and some part-time people. We'll be feeding about 750 families and giving away about 2,200 heads of leafy greens a month. And we need to sell about 4,000 to be sustainable. We've also have the Community Baptist Church in St. Pete that found out about it and loves the program and said whatever volunteers you need, they have them available, and they'd also like to work with the schools. That's it. Okay.
Someone that have skipped the last meeting.
Questions?
We put one in our jar.
Yes. We have a sample of the first prototype that's a solar-powered growing tower. Has the solar at the top, has 36 plants underneath, and it has the water container at the bottom. And it's got battery and controllers built in behind the solar, and you can put it anywhere you want, on a roof, in the yard. The first prototype is running just under $1,000, but you'll be able to grow a head of greens in 30 days, plus no
You
protein.
do different vegetables.
Yes, but you have to watch when you start growing different things is the fertilizer. Because flowering plants, and I'm not the expert, I brought my expert in case anybody wants to know, but when you start working with flowering plants, it's a different mix than greens.
So like herbs and greens and.
All herbs, greens, kales, bok choy, parsley. Yes?
In your video there, you showed a building containing all these towers. Is that a greenhouse?
No, it's just a shade cloth is what we're going to put over the farm. And that's to control the heat and the cold during different times of the season. Because it does affect the...
Constructed more like a tent?
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
yes.
Temperature and sunlight requirements?
That's why we have the shade cloth for the summer growing time. And in the winter time, if we end up putting plastic over it to control the cold, but we believe with the right mix of product and fertilizer, that we'll be able to get at least 11, close to 12 months of growing season without having a greenhouse.
How are your sales projections impacted by marijuana legislation?
It will increase. Our farm can grow marijuana. So, anybody's looking at putting up a farm, I think they need to talk. I can grow pot faster than anybody else.
Are those profit projections based off retail prices or wholesale?
More retail. We're figuring about $2.25 per growing hole. We figured since we're going to be pretty much organic and we have a limited supply, that there's enough demand between the restaurants and the community that, 1,000 to 1,500 heads of lettuce will go pretty quick.
Is it a co-op model, such as like purchase a membership?
First come, first served. But for a restaurant, we'd like to do some kind of relationship so that we know we move our product. And with the church involved, or any other nonprofit that just wants to break even, then we can give the excess to the food banks. And if we're working with schools, we really want to work with some schools too and do an education and teach them how solar, high-tech growing can, feed the community. Yes?
Why hydroponics and aeroponics and not aquaponics?
Say that again. What's it?
Why hydroponics and aeroponics instead of just aquaponics?
Aquaponics is the new thing and it really works, but it's complicated. And when you're looking at a project to multiply around the country and to be able to grow without problems, then this is the system we went with. Carol's Nursery has been playing with aquaponics, and it works on a big scale, and everybody's trying to cut it down to a simple scale, but it takes a lot more effort of monitoring the water, monitoring the fish, making sure all your chemicals are right. And we said, if we do something like this, our system comes with a computer controlled fertilization system. So basically, we'll have the fertilizer and the computer will automatically, on the container of water, measure what's in there, make the adjustments, pump it out to the plant. So it's really, it's as simple as we could make it to be like a franchise model. Yes?
Do you have solutions to fight pests?
In Florida, parts of the world, you always have pests. We do have organic sprays that we're going to be using. We're looking at, for the St. Pete location, to go ahead and put a pest screen around. That will reduce some of the problem. It's not going to eliminate it, but it'll keep some of the pests out. But you still have to spray, but the organic sprays are much easier than the organic fertilizers to use. Yes?
Who's your targeted audience or clients, and what kind of service will you provide?
We're going to provide everything. The cost is a totally installed system, and we're going to run it almost like a franchise type. You'll be buying the seedlings from us, fertilizer, the pesticides, everything will be purchased from our corporation so that we can control to make sure you're profitable, you're running it correctly, you're getting the right produce out, and we don't have people just trying to grow all kinds of things and it's just not profitable.
So is this a business plan, or is this anyone, any person, literally anyone?
As far as buying one?
Yeah, buying one.
Yeah, anybody can buy one. I mean, we'll sell it to a corporation. We're going to be talking to the strawberry industry about opening it. We've got some patent pending watering device inside the tube that circulates the water correctly. And of course, the solar powered on this one is patent pending. And the farm and the way the plumbing and the system work is patent pending also.
I was able to do this discussion just the other day with a friend, and they were under the impression that there's restrictions on being able to sell vegetables that don't come from a farm in the city of St. Petersburg. Is that correct? That you can't sell your own homegrown vegetables?
I don't know. But then
So,
we'll be
I
considered,
don't know anything about it, I was just wondering.
this will be considered a farm, so.
That's the health department.
Yeah, actually, we've been talking with the health department.
Actually, and this is from my experience with Pinellas County Extension, there aren't limitations on selling homegrown food. There are limitations municipality by municipality, what you can use as landscape for your home. So depending on the zoning and, the language in the ordinances, you may be limited on what you can grow on your property. But since Pinellas County is a completely built-out community, we don't have any farms except for one. There's no regulations from the agriculture side of things of selling unless you process that. So if you are doing something to the, cutting the strawberries, then there's licensing that's required for it. But as far as the whole product, there's not much limitation. There is something that may be coming out soon where leafy greens are considered a processed product. So there may be some changes.
But as you see when you walk out, we sell the whole head of lettuce. So we're not going to be processing it. There is a farm to school program that we're working with the health department so that we can get some of this lettuce and the greens into the schools. And they feel pretty comfortable with the church having a kitchen that's already clean and up and running, that we can run the produce through the kitchen of the church for them to process it, refrigerate it, and then move it to the school if we need to do that. Yes?
Can you disclose your first farm location and the zoning on that parcel?
No, because that hasn't been determined yet. The city now is looking and trying to find spots for us. Some of the lots, there's some other land that's available. There's a number of places. We've met with Carl Nurse, and he is doing the research to give us a list of available properties and if we can work out some type of lease agreement with the city. But also the Department of Transportation has some spots. But only needing a quarter of an acre, there's a lot of places out there.
Do you know what the zoning has to be currently?
No, I do not.
Thank you.
Yes?
If I'm understanding this right, the power is needed for pumps which supply the water and also the fertilizer. How much do these units weigh, and do they have to, could they be placed on a driveway?
We were looking at doing it on concrete. We're just going to build it up because of the way the water flows back to the pump to supply 125 towers. That we'll just build it up off the ground a little bit, but it definitely can be built in a parking lot. It's just going to take just a little more tweaking. Right now, our design is to build the trenches and to put it all underground, but it is doable. Yes.
Is your business model just to set up quarter acre farms and sell it as a package, or will you sell individual towers to like general public who just want to have a tower?
We'll do both.
Website available?
Yeah. The first prototypes out here, we haven't started production of the individual towers, but they're definitely on the radar to build, and we'd like to build them kind of at the same time.
Any idea estimated cost or retail price?
Well, right now, the individual one with the solar is just under 1,000. And they said the farm is about 75,000 with 125 tubes installed. Yes?
Each tower, how many meals per week would it supply a family of, let's say, 3?
On the farm, it's 52 heads of lettuce.
Okay.
On the individual, it's 36.
Okay.
And that will grow a full head of lettuce every month, each bowl, or greens.
So how long does it take to actually get that, to see positive ROI? You said under 24 months in your presentation, but if you're spending, say, if you're buying 60 towers, 60 okay, right, 75,000 set up on a farm, how many heads of lettuce do you need to sell typically?
Well, the normal farm we have set up right now is 125, okay, for 75,000. Which, if you do a 10-year, 6%, you're gonna be paying about $832 a month for paying back your loan. The property's gonna generate a little over $13,000 a month. Your expenses are gonna be with hiring a manager, fertilizer, plants, everything involved will be running just over $8,000. And so you'll be clearing close to $6,000 a month, or close to $6,000 a month.
Per quarter.
Per quarter acre. On a quarter of an acre. So that's not a bad margin.
So that-
It's 13,000 in sales.
It's heard much worse.
Yeah. And that's with expecting a 10% loss of product. So if you're on top of it and can monitor it, you can probably, there's some, we try to build in a margin of loss just because.
So it sounds like with the previous app, you could build in like plague of locusts to understand what you're returning.
Yes.
Have you considered making it a monthly membership model for revenue in terms of like crop share so that each individual could?
I'm aware of that, but I really haven't taken it to that point yet. We just said, let's open twice a week and do first come, first served with the public. That might be a model that will work on some of the farms, especially when you're looking at having it pre-sold before it even comes out is a beautiful thing. So it's a good model, but yeah.
Have you considered a high-profile potential commercial user? I know you're looking at food deserts, but for instance, on the Burns restaurants over in Tampa grow their own food.
Right.
And use or endorsement from them could go a long way.
Yes, and this is just now starting to take off and get introduced, and there's a lot of opportunity there. I know that Vinoy has been looking for a lot of local produce. There's a number of restaurants that will, and I think that's going to come as soon as we get the first one built and everybody sees the quality of our product, then they're going to want it. They're going to put it on their roof. They'll step up and say, we'll buy so many a month just so that we can keep it going. Even if it's a little bit of a premium, the upside potential in marketing will be great.
Yeah, you might look at the Whole Foods Producer Loan Program. They'll put up $25,000 for the first time. After a year, they put up to $100,000 or more for putting up funds.
That's interesting. I'd rather have donations.
We have about, projected about 10% waste built into this.
Yes.
And I think, based on the standards for retail sales, school district sales and restaurant sales, about 30 to 40% of grown crops actually don't pass standards. And they get gleaned and donated to like Tampa Bay, Network 10, Hunger and everything. Is the quality of the product that much better than what's being grown everywhere else?
Yes. Plus, when you purchase a head of lettuce from us, all the roots are attached. So when you grab it, you buy it, you put a wet paper towel around the roots, put it in your refrigerator, it'll last 2 to 3 weeks.
They actually grow more, don't they?
They'll actually grow in your refrigerator. So you don't have that loss. You go buy lettuce, processed lettuce, sometimes 2 days later it's already wilting and bad. But with the roots still attached, one, it's been grown without soil, so it's clean, and it will keep growing. So the waste is going to really be limited.
So there's no soil? What is the soil?
It's just water. We just pump water through our tube more often just to keep the nutrition and the moisture of the roots. And when you go outside, we'll pull them out, and you can just see the roots growing just in midair.
Have you thought about contacting the school system itself to be able to put in systems to educate the children? I mean, they're the ones who bring it home to their families to educate them. And we learn from our kids anyway, so if we can get some into the school systems,
Yes.
somebody donate maybe a few to each school.
Yeah, we would love to be able to put some of these farms on school property to pay for itself, and then the extra, and the church would love this too, and then the extra would go to the school to use, or they can give it to the kids to take home, and they would love it. We're working with the health department, there's a farm to school program, and there's some other ways of trying to educate the kids, and we think the education of teaching them now solar and high-tech growing methods is also a great benefit, because that's the future of farming, because land's gonna be harder to get.
And just to expand on that a little, there is the farm to school grant that's going on right now, but you need a partner school or the school system to be able to apply for that grant. He would not be able to apply for that himself. But there's multiple models that food can benefit